All right, this is part two of digesting Democracy Forward's pamphlet to Project 2025. You have me, Emil, and then you also have Thomas, and we're just giving our opinions on what we're looking at. All
Okay,
right.
yeah. So where we left off, we were talking about the many of people that's affected by social programs that might affect people's ability to feed themselves, like after school programs, food stamps, and I guess WIC will be including that as well.
Yeah, so this is basically saying food stamps, snaps. It's going through data as far as uh, the statistical data. 41.2 million people and 21.6 million household receive monthly SNAP benefits in 2022 fiscal year. Ran 21 to 22. Okay. 50 states, including DC, Guam, and Virgin Islands. A separate nutrition assistance program covers Puerto Rico, American Somalia, and you say what?
It's American Samoa.
Samoa and
Yeah,
Northern Marina Islands. All right.
it didn't
All
say
right,
nothing
man.
about the U.S. though.
Well, I mean, it does. It did. It said
Oh,
it said all 50 states, the DC.
including yeah, and then including the territories. Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
After you take over a territory, you got to take care of the people in there because you got people as yourself going to be in there.
Mm.
That's how it works somehow. I don't know how. I don't know why. But yeah, man. I feel like if I'm just I'm going through it, looking at it real quick. If you see anything out of this that you want to stop and look at, it says characteristics of SNAP recipients. You know,
Well, I mean, I can believe that some of that is partially true, because there's already been talks about changing the way people get food stamps and Medicaid, like, and the reason why it can be good or bad because it can be presented with good intentions but can be exploited for bad reasons, like Project 2025 is trying to outline here. But okay, let's talk about the things that people actually do get with these benefits, right? So I wanted to things like after school or free lunches. Let's just talk about free lunches, right? It is
well,
that was
that's
something.
not look. This is not talking about free lunches. That's more of the Department of Education. When you talk
Oh,
about free
okay.
lunches. But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put a pin on the food stamps. I'm gonna save this little clip right here and remind us later to talk on it on more. Just because it's a lot more than just food stamps.
Okay, so you want to do a quick overview, make side comments, and then we'll go deep. We'll dive deeper into different topics that we notated on.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the reason why I'm trying to write in the chat. Like in the chat, if you got something that you really want to talk about, like kind of like you see I keep putting in the chat, just do it that way. So that way we're not gonna lose what we're trying to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And we can get
yeah,
back to it. Make sense?
yeah, like Cliff Notes and stuff. Yeah, cool.
All right. So the next note they have is rollback civil rights protections across multiple fronts, including cutting diversity, equity, and inclusion related DEI programs in LGBTQ plus rights in healthcare, education, and workplaces. I mean, remember this is put out in 2024, in June of 2024 at that.
hmm And we're already seeing it today.
Okay.
DEI has been definitely cut off. And on top of DEI being cut off, Donald Trump has made a very harsh standpoint on how he feels about, I wouldn't say LGBTQ. I'm just going to move over to trans because I think them being bunched all up together, I don't think that's correct. But on trans issues and trans rights, I think is being infringed upon. Whether I agree with it or not, it is happening.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I recall like an incident happened in a press conference with the governors of America,
Yeah.
and Maine, he made a statement to Maine talking about some, you better get them transgenders out of your schools, sports, out of the girls sports. And he basically, you know how Trump is trying to make one good point the biggest point, even though it's like there's so much other. You recall that
Yeah,
press?
and I think also that in that one, I think it was you said Maine. I think it was Delaware's governor that's actually transgender. One of them is actually transgender, and they refuse to be um their pronouns, what they would like to be called, wasn't being used. And then so I think it was Maine that took up for Delaware in that situation, and then said, well, we're not going to continue with um this hearing if you're not going to address them properly, which I believe that's a bunch of malarkey. Like, that is really just bullshit, because honestly, not getting too far into my own opinions, if I don't believe that transgender people have the right to bully people, and I feel like that's what a lot of these transgender rights that's being infringed upon are. It's just them bullying people around. It's like, oh, if you don't like my pronouns and stuff, it's like, right. Your name, you go by Williams, you go by
Yeah, yeah, I got you. I
Timothy.
got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what I call you. You know I'm talking about you. It's not derogatory. And then with the moment that you start saying that everything that you don't agree with is derogatory towards you, it'll be it's just dumb. It's not the truth. If I say, hey, Will, you short. I mean, it might not necessarily be a derogatory, because it might be the truth. You
so
might not
let's
feel
do
like you
this.
short.
Let's do this. Uh, let's not make it personal between us and what we know about each other. Just make it so that anybody in the world can relate to, because everyone doesn't know me. They
Yeah,
don't
that's true.
know
That's
anything
true.
about me.
hmm
So,
I was
and
just
this is
giving an
gonna this is
example off
gonna
the top.
be this is gonna be on live. This is gonna be online for
hmm
someone like 10 years to hear. So you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And plus, we could just edit that part out.
Yeah, I got you. I don't like doing no editing, bro. I do so much video, and if a lot of times I don't like it, I just don't even post it. I'm being honest. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's
But using a similar example in a situation, as long as something is still true, it cannot be used as derogatory. And if you start taking truths and making it derogatory and whining about it, now you're trying to manipulate people based on an emotional response. And that is bullying in a sense, a way, especially when you are in a position of power to do so.
yeah, especially if you're in a position of power. If it's like you really got to tread lightly. If you're like another grunt and it's another grunt, well, we both grunts. But as soon as you're an assistant, whatever, oh, that's when you have to really watch it. You know what I mean? Like,
And so I feel like in the situation about Project 2025 infringing on LGBTQ rights, I strongly believe it's just focusing on trans, because that's all we've seen in today's political climate, is that it's really men staying in men's sports, men staying in men's restrooms. And
well, it also said DEI and cutting diversity and equity. Let's not get caught up in stuff that we both could completely agree about, because if I see my little girl go against a used to been boy, I'm not gonna feel too good about it, and I'm taking her off the wrestling match. She's not gonna box him. She's not gonna do no basketball with him, and that's just because I love my girl and she's not meant to be fighting boys, and I'm
yeah,
old
for
school.
sure.
We protect our women. So let's go ahead and we talk about the other part, like the
The
DEI.
DD,
Like,
DEI, I feel like I don't feel like, I know it mostly affected white women. So it being taken out of the equation is kind of like uh how it really doesn't affect people of color as much as it does white women because they take up 40% of the DEI jobs.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a double minority,
Mm,
regardless.
how is a white woman a double minority? She's just a
Well,
single
she's a
minority.
single minority, but you're also my wife.
Mm.
Gotta get. I'm gonna give you money anyway, baby. Might as well hire you.
Yeah. So I don't really feel like that necessarily affects a lot of the people um or people of color. I don't think it's going to change fact. I believe that what they're trying to accomplish with DEI being gone is that they're no longer feeling obligated to be again bullied by the system into hiring incompetent people or white women.
They cut a lot of vets with that program too, but it's just people, white men who served got fired because of their status. So it's not just that they benefited too, not just the people of color, like you said.
Yeah, so at the same time, it just these rules I truly believe shouldn't have been placed in the law to begin with because everybody's like, oh, it's to protect these different groups of people when in actuality it didn't better any of the situations. We saw none of the real results that it was trying to. All it was there to do is to be anytime somebody wanted to call out another person, be like, hey, 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 you know that we got this law, right? So it didn't better us as a collective, as a country, because we cannot move forward if we're putting handicaps on people. Now people say, but it allowed more blacks and browns to get in positions of power. If I don't know about you personally, but I don't want to be handed something that I actually worked hard for or achieved, and I feel like I truly deserve based on a stupid law. So it's like I'm just getting
It's
a position of power just to fill a quota, and that doesn't seem like any less racist than not hiring.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
If let's say that you wasn't as out of the box person as you are, because you are a business owner and you are out of the box thinker. If all of the businesses are ran by people who don't want to hire you because of your ethnicity, and even though you're 3 times more qualified, are you going to get mad that you got a job? Or are you just going to take that and eat it because you got kids? Remember, I'm
Either,
talking about I
yeah,
swear you.
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean, and
Because I
yeah,
mean, you got
you're
game.
just
You got a lot of game. You're very intelligent, and you may, what I'm saying. So you're not the
you're gonna
average person.
yeah, you're gonna be grateful that you can support your family, of course. There's never been on the question, but I'm gonna ask you this question then. How many times have you gone up for a job and it was really difficult outside and before the DEI stuff came? Because you've been around longer than me, so give me your 2 cents on it. Will you ever feel like you were overlooked for a job that you were definitely qualified for because of your race?
All the time, but at the same time, I can't get mad at that.
Do you? Okay. Explain a little deeper on why you felt like it. Like, did you know somebody else who did get the job that wasn't as qualified as you, and you knew that for a fact, or did you just get not picked and then you just chopped it up to it being because of your race?
Well, what I know is if I look at your staff and it's all of white kids, that are getting those positions, and I'm trying to go up there and there's nobody in the place that looks like me, that tells me a lot. And I'm just saying, like, when I think about DI, I'm thinking about um look at the White House and all of the staff at one point of Trump's administration. It was like 95% was white, 95% of them. And at that point, nothing that we will want is going to be done. So when I think
So
about jobs, I go for a job. I know I've gotten hired because I was a minority. Also, know I got fired because I was one of them hires because they needed black people to work. Texas is a little bit more, in Atlanta, shoot, I can find a job, woo woo. But in Texas, Houston, I mean, you can, but you get discrimination when you're in there.
okay, there's 2 points I want to touch on based on what you said. First of all, I want to touch on you talked about Donald Trump's staff and how it's like 95% white. Do you know the percentage of Obama's staff that was black? Because I can promise you it was
I really
nowhere
didn't care
near
if they
a
were
major.
black or not. I cared if they were mixed. He had a lot of mix in there. I wanted
Okay,
some
yeah,
Indians in there. I wanted some
but
Asian
but
people in there.
but
I
that's a
wanted
that's an
Pakistan. I
actual.
wanted white,
But
black,
yeah, yeah,
everybody.
of course. They'll give you a good pool of people um uh, to get information about said communities from.
Mm-hmm.
But how mixed or diverse was Obama's staff? I don't know personally, but that's a fact that we can look up. So we can pin that note to come back to. Because when we want to compare, because Obama, as great as a president that people want to proclaim him to be, he really didn't do anything for the minority community. Really just didn't. I feel like the things that he did, it just was meant to seem good, but it was just I'm just here so I won't get fired type of situation. Um,
Who say I'm just here because I don't want to get fired?
yeah, like that's what I feel like. Obama was a token black. He was a placeholder. He couldn't create too much waves because he was already making a wave, being the first black president. So a lot of the things that he did in his administration either just didn't really affect minorities, or it actually hindered minorities because he had to go with like the political climate at the time. And then the second point I wanted to touch back on, like I said, we notate that for me because I'm driving.
Yeah, I already notated it.
Okay. The second point is that I'm not saying that racism don't exist. I'm a fool. I'm black, a man in America. I know racism still exists. So, but racism wouldn't end just because we have DEI. Just like racism didn't end just because we had the civil rights movement. And yes, you could sit there and say, oh, but those things helped. But it was a lot harder in the beginning for anybody. Doesn't matter if the law was there or not. People still had to get beat on, spit on, just to prove that they were a human being, even after the Civil Rights Bill was passed. So passing the DEI, forcing people to integrate when it could easily backfire and make things a lot worse.
I used to think that integration was the best, and then the theories that integration was the worst thing for us has been something that resonated in my brain for years among years. And one thing that counters that, when I think that is like one of the worst things that happen, is it's too late. You already broke down our black community and our black systems, and our integrity was so. I'd rather go to the white business because it's more professional. And then the corruption of us selling our souls for money, which I really feel that the women sold us out when it come down to the welfare systems. A lot of them have, but I mean, I'm not saying it's just that, but just the police brutality and trying to just really take us away from our households. I mean, the false narrative that you have to be hard and be a thug to be a black man, and being called white because you talk too proper, just that type of stuff is very annoying. At the same time, I feel that being able to call people out on people who betray their ethnicity is needed, because even though I don't agree with the majority, I feel that if you are the type of person who purposely throws poison in our community, we need to call you out and let you know you're a bad person. I
Okay.
don't care if you're a millionaire. I don't care if you're a billionaire, bro. But you're over here and you're basically telling our kids to sell crack and and to do this and do that. Um, we need to tell people that should not be a role model, you know. And then I feel like,
So how does DEI help with that narrative though?
oh, I'm sorry, I was just I got on a tangent about that, but I guess what I'm saying is I'm sorry. So what was the last point I was making before that? Because I need to get back to what you're talking about, the DI.
Yeah, I was just saying that a forced integration doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily always
So what I'm saying is,
produce
since
positive outcomes.
yeah, since the since our since the Black Negro lead is down, and all those 1940s, 1930s restaurants that were really thriving, and all of a sudden the 70s happened and people start going to the white businesses and stuff like that. I really don't think that's that big of a deal as far as you know, crying about spilled milk. It's already too late. You know what I mean? It's like, so if you know, every time that we do try on our own, it's a lot of times our places get bombed. You know what I mean? It's like whenever, and then whenever we're getting graded so hard off comparison to our white counterparts who we know is like a D minus student, and you know you're B plus or B minus, and they treat you like you're a C minus, and then when you're getting graded so hard, all I'm saying, I'm not really worried about DEI. I'm worried about kind of like what you're doing. I'm worried about making my own, so I can never worry about getting fired. I can only worry about starving, because I rather starve knowing that I'm working on my purpose and building and growing and making something than to worry about me getting to a pink sheet like those people at them Fed jobs that just went through. You know,
Mm,
that's really
yeah,
something that's really jacked up, because let's say I was a square type person, that I would have been one of them. I would have been probationary. They would have fired me. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
but the downsizing of the government is always it was less more about DEI. Some of it was DEI because they got rid of what they felt like was unqualified people. Cool, whatever. We can debate on if it was or wasn't based on true facts about them being unqualified. But majority of it was just because they were downsizing the government. We had inefficiency problems with overpaying people to not do anything.
Do you know that they're not doing anything, or is it just because you don't see it that you feel like they're not doing anything?
Technically, neither one of us know if they was or was not working. We don't work that. We don't handle that part of
You
the
really want
government.
you want Elon Musk, somebody who's not tied to America, really, to determine that?
Hey, Barack Obama wasn't tied to America. Like I said, he was
Well,
born in
Barack
Kenya.
Obama was, but that's
He was born in Kenya, raised overseas, and then came to Hawaii. That's not even the mainland. Before until he went to college, then he transferred to the mainland. So I'm gonna leave somebody who, whether he was born here or not, he didn't have any physical ties to the
so
mainland of
the
America
fact that
to understand the culture of America, and then he was still making decisions for America.
you're questioning him and he's not even here is the same reason why I feel that the forced inclusion is needed, because whenever like we do something, we're graded so much harder than you're over here talking about Obama and Trump is the person who's in.
No, 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 because you brought up Elon Musk, and you said
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's
But what
not, he
I'm
has no
saying is,
ties to
at
America. And I
least,
said our own president really didn't have ties, whether he's an American citizen or
yeah,
not,
he was
whether it's not
American
the point.
citizen.
Okay, yeah, whether that's not the debate here. The debate
Yeah, it was,
is
because what I'm saying is, I want an American making American decisions because he has more
how
ties to America.
how American can someone actually be if they were raised overseas and then when they did come
You
back to
say he
America.
was Hawaii, right?
No, no, he was raised overseas for a good portion of the years, not just Hawaii. When he came back to America, he touched down in Hawaii. That's not even connected to the mainland of
So you're
America.
over here
So,
spatting inaccuracies, I feel.
no, those are actual facts.
Hold on.
Obama
Hold on.
was
We no,
raised
no,
in
we can't
Indonesia.
continue. We can't continue this. We got it. This impasse is too serious. Obama's birthplace.
Was America. They're gonna say it was America.
Okay.
Cool. Where
Honolulu,
was he
Hawaii.
raised? Ask where
Huh?
he was raised. He was raised in Indonesia. That is a fact. He was raised in Indonesia for a good portion of his years.
Well, it don't matter where he raised.
Yes, it does. because that you
So
being a
moved
part of
it
the
with his
culture.
family to Indonesia in 1967, where he attended local Indonesian school and received additional lessons via U.S. correspondence courses under his mother's direction. So he was born in 61. All right. Lived
By
2 years
'64,
when he
yeah,
was
back in Indonesia.
maternal. At least he was born somewhere near America. Why are we over here analyzing this man
No, no,
so hard when
because
you
you're not
over
getting.
here willing to let Elon Musk get our personal information? You
What
over
I'm
here
saying,
analyzing.
what I'm saying is, okay, if we're gonna talk about people who are not from this country making
Well, Obama's from
decisions.
this country.
Okay, yes, he is technically. That's a
Ain't no
technicality.
technically. Why
No,
he's
because
part of this
you're
country?
yes, he was born here, so that makes him an American citizen. But his culture and upbringing was not American. He was not a part of the American problems. He wasn't a part of the American social construct or what it means to actually be American because he was raised in a foreign country. He was
You
raised in a
remind
foreign.
me of them people who be like, "You're not black because you don't talk ghetto."
No, 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 no.
That's
See,
that's like that's kind of like the
I'm
concept
gonna
of what
bring my
you
point
said.
home. I'm gonna bring my point home so you can better understand me. Somebody from Maryland is not gonna have the same traits as a person from Texas, even though they're both
You
Americans,
know,
right?
you know, what's
But
so crazy.
they have different cultures. Yes, I know. I brought it up because obviously you grew did some time of work whatever in Maryland, and you're from Texas. Cool.
Yeah,
Listen. But people talk different, people
yeah, they
eat
do.
differently, and people have a different view on life here in America based on where in this country they're from. So if that's true there, then a person who is outside the country and would have the same type of situation,
Why
it would
are
be
you
like
trying
somebody
to make Obama non-American so bad? Why?
big
What is the
is
purpose of alienating the ex-president?
big because it ties back into my bigger point. My bigger point
You
is
will
it
force
didn't
it
matter.
and stretch it
No,
and
no, I'm not
stretch
for
it.
it. I'm not stretching it at all. If I took a black person right now that was born in America, dropped him in China, and this man don't speak English, he don't know nothing about black people, he only grew up around Chinese people, and I brought him back to this country, taught him English, and you'd be like, oh yeah, he's an American. Yeah, he's technically an American because he was born here, but he has no cultures to American ties. And so when we talk about, oh, we're letting Elon Musk, someone who's not from this country, make decisions for the country. It was not brought up when Obama did it, even just because he was born.
What credibility does he have more than Obama?
He,
Elon Musk, because he
I'm
has
saying,
more power than Obama has right now. He's been able to do a lot of stuff by all these cuts. What makes him more what
I
makes him
sent
more
you.
qualified?
I sent you. I didn't say that more qualified because I
You
sent you
make it sound
the
like he's more qualified, sir.
no, 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 no. I just said it was an even playing field, and that shouldn't be a
That's
reason
not an
why.
even playing field. That is not. Both of them. One person is born in the states, then
Well, not raised.
moves overseas, has a cultural understanding of other places, then eventually moves back to America, and I believe he got where did he get his degree? Let's go ahead and look at where he got his degree.
Columbia, and Harvard. That's where he got his
Okay,
degrees
so
from.
when did he move back? So he
Around
returned in
like teenage years.
1971. So he only spent 4 years. He
No,
spent
Obama
four
got.
years
I
in
don't know
Indonesia.
I don't know who drafted that post, but it's been on different sources.
This is Barack Obama's presidential library.
Okay, so who would be more biased to say something like that? But it is very notated on his time overseas. It's not a hidden fact. Now he might try to skew it so it's not seem like he was overseas for as long. But again, there's multiple sources that say he was over there till he was at least 11 or 12 years old before he came back to Hawaii.
Yeah. So what this is stating is 19. Oh, I didn't know he was Leo. 1961 to 1967. So that means he's 6. All right, so he moved when he was 6, and then he moved back 4 years later. So he moved back when he was 10. So he spent 4 years in Indonesia. So, and then he also came back to Hawaii, and he graduated 1979. Obama first attended Occidental College in Los Angeles before transferring to Columbia University, where he earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in political science in 1983. So you're just saying these 4 years makes him un-American?
No, I'm just saying
Let's
that
look.
it doesn't give him
So
the
can I ask you a
American
question?
culture. It doesn't give him the
Can you
American culture.
can you
And
at least
and then you,
are we gonna before we continue? Can are you gonna we gonna take this as truth, or are we gonna say this is false information? This I just want to know how are you taking this? Is this false information? Is it true from Barack Obama's presidential library?
sure, we can take it as true. It
Okay,
seems
go
fairly
ahead, continue.
accurate. Okay, so and I don't know if well, we weren't even born in the 70s, so but Hawaii is not as diverse as the actual mainland of America. It's still not that diverse as a state should be. As most of its population is still native. So you're taking
So
somebody.
if you go to if you go to Iowa, Iowa is not gonna be that diverse compared to.
Well, Iowa doesn't even have a major city in it. So we're not speaking on places that don't have major cities.
Yeah, so but what I'm saying is the fact that there are places like there's different states that have different variations. Not every state is the same. You even said it. Maryland
Yes.
and Texas completely different. Florida is different than all the other places. It's different. It's a Florida man. Everyone, when you say it's a Florida man, we always think something crazy. You say
Yeah.
Atlanta man, you always think it's something kind of funny, some funny activity going on. You say a Texas man, you always think it's some barbecue or something like macho going on or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
certain, huh?
That's a yeah.
Yeah, just so I'm just saying, but at the same time, every state has their own little thing. Let's not go nick and picking and feel like this place is better than that place. And I'm just saying, like, he spent 4 years out of uh the country, and then he came back, and you're basically saying that him being in Hawaii and being disconnected from the mainland, somehow, some way, he's more Asian or something.
No, that I just he doesn't know what's actually going on in America
I mean,
as
you're saying he's
far
more Somalian. I'm just asking, like, did Somalian
as
people kind of
Samoans.
like they
America, there
infiltrate
are
his genetics or something?
no. I'm saying that he has little, if any, American culture, but he was making decisions for the American people, affecting the American culture or way of life. And
Okay.
you're saying that Elon Musk, not from America, is making decisions on the American people. And I'm like, what's really the difference? Someone who has no
Let's
ties
let's
to
uh
America,
let's look at
or
Elon Musk history.
and for anyway, and you want to say what would be so smart about him having the position that he has to dictate what the efficiency of the government because the government is operated like a business. That's
Oh
why he's over
man,
the budget. It is over the
that's
budget.
horrible. Businessman is never gonna look out for anyone else but himself.
But when we're
So
in
like,
we're in the economic climate of this country that we are in now, where the more American people are struggling, even with two jobs, even with side hustles,
that
and
man's not gonna help you, bro.
we're
He's
trying
not
to
gonna
figure
help
out
you.
how to get money. We're trying to figure out how to get less money spent, more money into circulation, because the reason why why wouldn't it help for us to spend less money? Why wouldn't it help for the American people to hold on to more money? The more money the American people have, the larger the economy is, the more like political power the government has based on our economy. If we're not looking if you think that they're going to turn America into Zimbabwe, where only the government
So
has
this
money
this right
and then
here,
the people are poor.
just real quick. I just wanna address, because you are basically saying that Elon Musk has the same credibility as Obama, and we should trust him.
I didn't say
And
none of those things.
and
You are inferring those things. I never said we should trust
well, I'm
him.
inferring it
I
because by you
I
even insinuating that Obama's not American, and he's not a real American, at least because he's not part of the mainland. His customs, his ways are different. And then you're saying Elon Musk is is so intelligent. He's a businessman. He's going to
I didn't
help
say.
us.
I didn't say. I said. You said what qualifications does Elon Musk have? I gave you probable deniability that hey, he's ran multiple businesses even before Tesla. That's how he even got money in the first place. Two. So he knows something about business. And when we're talking about the economy and economics is a part of business. And if you want somebody to come in and regulate efficiency, who would know more about managing efficiency than a business owner? Because a business owner is all about efficiency of money in their business.
Okay, so like trusting people is so much more important than the person being intelligent. I rather have somebody around me that is not that smart, who is loyal and truthful and who's about something as far as his morality, than someone who is smart and have their own benefit in mind. He's over here crying about the fact that his Tesla stock has cut in half, but then he has cut people's jobs. Do you know that he has been subsidized by the Canadian people for his EV cars just as much as he has American people have subsidized his Tesla business?
Yeah, but
So,
honestly,
so what I'm
I,
saying is he is a welfare recipient. But he is receiving. And but the thing is, they're never gonna look at his waste. They're never gonna look at the fact that he probably buys a component like this that's supposed to cost like $300. He probably up it up to like $450 so he can make $150 on the back end. And they're
no,
not
if
gonna.
he's probably going to up it to about $1,000 because that's business. It's always been
Yeah,
business,
but what I'm
and
saying is he's ripping off the American people. And
yeah,
then
like every
because what
business
I'm
is
saying
doing that.
is
Every business does that.
no, but that's not good for the
It's called
American people.
It's called cost of operations and profits. Nobody does nothing for free. Now, yes,
So what I'm saying is
when
the
people get greedy and
government.
they take the profits out of proportion, that's when we get price gouging from. Yes, businesses do overstate what the profit should be, but for the most part, we're not going to highlight one man's main issue. When one, I don't trust any politician. All politicians are doing something for a monetary or political reason or to benefit themselves. And secondly, you're pointing out things that everyday businesses are doing, that we should talk about business as a whole and how it's operating in this country, let alone instead of focusing on how one man's character could be poorer than anybody else's just because he's doing the exact same thing as every other business in America is doing. And if he wasn't doing what every other business was doing in America, then he wouldn't make any money in America. You're not going to win in an open market by not competing in the open market.
I know what you said sound good, but in practicality, if you think this man is doing it, doing Doge out of goodness of your heart,
I
it
didn't say that. Did not say
well,
that.
what I'm
I
saying
don't
is
trust. I literally let.
what
Well, I
I'm
don't
getting
trust
at is the
any
fact that
politician do anything
okay,
that
why are
doesn't
we
benefit
where
them.
okay.
Anybody in a position of power, nobody does nothing for free. Everybody does something for some
Let me know
reason.
what I can talk.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I pretty much said what I need to say.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you make it sound like they're doing it at the goodness of their heart. That's not what's going on. And true, politicians always going to make sure that their hands get buttered. At the same time, this man is not looking for the betterment of America. So look, I'm gonna get off that. I want to just go and look at his history, and then we can go and talk about the other things. I'm just really surprised that you really want to compare Elon Musk and Obama and say that they have near the same credibility. This is crazy to me. This man, Elon Musk, was born in Pretoria, South Africa,
Victoria,
huh?
Victoria, South Africa.
Pretoria, South Africa, to a Canadian mother and a South African father. So his parents don't even have no American genetics. His parents divorced when he was 10, and he primarily lived with his father. He later described his relationship with his father as strained and difficult. All right. at the age of 12, blah, 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 blah. No one cares about that. Moving to Canada and to the US. After obtaining Canadian citizenship, he moved to Canada at 17 to avoid mandatory military service in South Africa. So, hey, I forgot to tell you that he did dodge the draft. You didn't know that, did you?
I really wouldn't care if he dodged the draft because who wants to get drafted? Nobody.
Yeah, but he's willing to let your kids die, and that he's also trying to take these like them scholarships and them grants and stuff like that. We talk about the Department of Education getting missing. That's what's going to be missing. That's going to be hard to get that type of stuff. So he's going to make it harder for your kids to go to school and force them to do some kind of military service so they can get the GI Bill.
No, I think that responsibility falls more with the parents than rather with the government. When we start relying on the government for too many things, like that's not band-aid
Well,
solution.
if you go into the
Scholarships
service,
are
sir, we got fortunate by leaving out with all our limbs. I know brothers who got missing body parts and mental stars out this world. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
but
if you go to
that's not the
service,
root.
you go to
That's not
service, you know it's you signed your rate is your fate. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Your ASVAB score high, you good, but I know some people had like a 24, 20, you know what I'm saying? One dude had 17, he couldn't even make it in. There's some people out there who gonna put their bodies at their risk. You know what I'm saying? They
Not
stand
to
12
go.
years and so that their kids can go to school. So I'm just saying, like someone going to service to get education is not
But
I'm
again, like I
listening.
said, that again, they went into the service willingly to help their kids with their education. So when I say that whether how a good rate of an education your kids get is really based on the parent. It was based on the parent going to the military is the reason why he got it. But people will sit here and say, oh, the Department of Education is taking away scholarships, and why did we ever need them? That's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem
You
is
got
colleges.
parents.
No, the root of the problem is colleges either are way too much to afford, and that's one problem, or parents' wages are too low to afford college. That's a second problem. But getting band-aid solutions for bigger problems is not going to solve anybody's problem. It's just going to be a band-aid. And not everybody gets scholarships. Majority of people who go to school gets FAFSA, which will end up in either grants or more than likely student loans. Because grants are only given to people that are highly intelligent. When you keep a certain GPA, you don't drop any classes, you don't fail any classes, and so that doesn't really help a struggling academic student who really does want to better their education to keep funding their education. So, like, if it doesn't help with main problems, then it's not something that we should be crying about when it disappears. The problem isn't that the government is not is taking away scholarships and grants and stuff like of that nature. The problem is colleges are too high too much to afford out of pocket, and so either the prices of college need to be regulated or be made free like other countries, or the people's salaries and wages should meet up with the rise of inflation. Those are the two problems that should be looked at, not whether the Department of Education is gone and whether we're gonna lose out on money for schooling and stuff. That that shouldn't have been the problem to begin with. We shouldn't have to rely on the government for that to begin with. There's a bigger rooted issue that we're not focusing on, but everybody wants to cry about small details that don't matter in the big picture of things.
Why you feel why like so I guess my point is the fact that when you talk about are you like when you talk about Elon Musk and his credibility, um you feel like it's good that he's in, or it's not that it's good that he's in, it's like it doesn't really matter. And so like
I
just
would
give up,
say,
don't
uh,
care,
uh,
just let him run the government.
okay. First
Is
of
that
all,
the solution?
first of all, he's already in. There's nothing we can do about it
Oh,
yet.
there is
As
some
of
things
yet.
you can
As
do
of
about
yet.
it.
As of yet.
Don't be looking powerless.
Okay, okay, no, but there's nothing we can do as of yet. There's nothing that we can do right now that'll get that man out of office tomorrow. That's not how it
Well,
works.
you gotta work and build up the stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
of
the reason
course.
why we're going over what we're going over and the things like
And
that.
secondly, Whether you feel like this man is qualified or not qualified, whether this man is going to do more harm than good, is yet to be seen. All of this is
Oh man, he's
speculation.
already done
None
a
of,
lot more harm than good.
but we haven't seen the effects of it. All we've seen is that it has been done, but we haven't seen the effect. We've seen the cause, but we haven't seen the effect. And so, if the effect is positive or negative, is yet to be
So
determined.
what I'm saying is him
All
with
of these.
Ebola, like with him cutting off USA when it comes to the Ebola crisis. There have been polio that's been around, Texas, the measles and stuff like that. Not polio, I'm just the measles. Then when you talk about just the government workers of all of them being hatchet the way they've been hatcheted, bro, it's like you still got to pay
So,
them. So they,
so
like all these court cases are just frivolous, and in 10 out of the 13 has been overturned. So you're gonna be paying people out of pocket for no reason. Like, bro, I don't know about you, but when you touch up on something, you're supposed to come with some plan and some tact. You're not supposed to come with a sledgehammer and just beat up and just destroy everything, and then you figure it out. Oh yeah, well, oh
So, an outbreak of diseases that we should have been vaccinated for as young children has something to do with Elon Musk and the
yes,
short 3 months. The short 3 months, he
yes.
did all that. There's no way, because that's not how diseases work. Diseases don't manifest in 3 months of somebody walking into an office and cutting off government workers. That is not how that works. That disease was already present. Diseases take a while to develop enough in the body to even be recorded as the disease on measurements on
So
medical measurements.
if you're eliminating government workers, then you're eliminating people to provide services. You're also eliminating the researchers who are out there finding out information, and you're stopping the people who are supposed to prevent those things.
But none of those,
Those are
none of the things
jobs that
that
we don't see, but those are things that they're doing behind.
but none of those things have that immediate an immediate effect. If he was to cut off all the researches today, we won't find out about the effects of it at least for a couple years, and when a new disease break out, not 3 months after he does it, or a couple weeks after he does it. Oh, all of a sudden we having all these issues, and it got to be because of what he just did. That does not make sense. That's not logical. Things don't move that quickly. Even if he did fire everybody yesterday and some shit popped off today, that doesn't mean that what he did yesterday caused the shit to pop off today. All you could say is that if some shit did pop off
That sound
tomorrow,
good. That sound real good. I
no,
wish I
all
was
you
true. That sound
all
real
you
good.
all you could say for certain that if some shit popped off tomorrow and we were understaffed or under finance to deal with that issue, then you'd be like, yeah, he shouldn't have let go of all those people because he didn't see this coming. That's the only effect that we can see right now. But since none of that has actually been true, every blaming every little thing on that's risen on
You know,
him just based on what he just did is ludicrous. It's insanity to me because you cannot see results that quickly in my opinion.
just because it sounds like it's insane to you does not mean it's not going on, bro. You don't spend that much time watching stuff, bro. You spend the time worrying about your kids and worrying about your family, like every other American. This stuff is happening, and then if there's a whole 900 pages worth of stuff, you have a whole executive branch that is dedicated, that are loyalists, that are basically systematically attacking everything at once. Stuff gets bad quick. Stuff does not don't take long, man. And I know I'm signing off the alarm bells a lot quicker than you would, but I always think ahead of time, bro. You got to think ahead. I'm thinking above quicker than the average person, because the average person is just so caught up in their own life. That's
That
all
is
we
true.
do.
I promise you. I mean, you like you said. I got kids, and I promise you, they take up all of your day, every last waking moment of it. Um, when I was off for those couple of days last week, I felt like I was working from sun up to sundown with no breaks in between. Didn't have time to watch a show for myself or put my feet up and rest for 10 seconds unless I was eating. Other than that, it was work, work nonstop with them kids. So yes, I really don't have the time to literally sit there and think about, hey, what would it be the ramifications of this action 10 years from now? No, like I can see what is it affecting me today or within the next couple of months. That's as far as my process goes, especially when it comes to politics. Hey, is it affecting me today or is it going to affect me in a couple months? Possibly. Cool. That's really as far as my viewpoint goes. Honestly, you don't see the effects of what a president has done until 2 years into the next presidency, or 2 years into their second term if they've gotten a second term. But like that's why I'm trying to tell you that what Elon Musk is doing today, we won't really see the effects of it in our daily lives
Well,
until
actually,
for
I'll tell you this: you can see the effects because one of the biggest things they're doing is making so that everything that Biden has done is not done. So it's like a reverse. At the same time, I've seen 2008 when I couldn't find a job, and I know bad. I know this ain't my first Republican ride. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's not gonna be the last one. You know what I mean? But like it was hard to
2008,
find a job.
2008 happened because of big investment banks
But what
were
I'm saying
playing with
is,
the
who
American
who did
pensions.
whose watch was that on?
Congress
No,
is the
no, no,
one who
no.
regulates.
What president? Because whenever something happens in the House, it's always the president's fault.
Well, technically, Obama was in the middle of it, but it started under Bush's watch as early as the fall of 2007. But by the time Obama was inaugurated on 2008,
Oh,
in
he
January,
inherited the waste. He inherited all that. So when he
but
when he came
it
in, it
wasn't.
wasn't good.
Yeah, but the economy wasn't in the state of the
No, 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 no,
president.
no. What you not catching? I watched the document on it, and throughout the time when he inherited it, they already knew it had already started, bro. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah, I said,
saying?
and by the fall of
He came in
2007.
2008. So if
Yeah,
he
I
came
know,
in at
I
2008
know, I
and then it
know.
happened 2007, it's not his fault. And if
Of
you
course
if
not.
you're the one inheriting it, then and you're trying to
But
make it better.
no, I don't believe that it's any president's fault what had happened because I understand that a president is like a CEO. They manage other departments, oversee all the
So you
departments.
don't think that the president is paid by anybody? Then that sounds crazy. That
No,
sounds
no, no,
believe in it.
no. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, what
That's
I'm
not what I'm
saying is the
saying. When I'm
fact
talking about
that
the
if you
responsibility,
if all right, so if you're a Republican and you getting your hands greased by the banks and the banks whatever the banks does is your fault.
every president gets their hands greased by the bank. We literally have the Federal Reserve that isn't even owned by the United States government. It's a private owned bank. So every president gets their hands greased. And but when we take loans out from the Federal Reserve, we're taking the loans out from a private bank.
All right. Hey, let's finish off this just a few more I guess let's go through another point because we got off on that rollback. Eliminate the Head Start early education program, which serves over 1 million children. All right.
Head Start program. What is that program?
So let's say you want your kid, he's 3 years old. He seems smart. Let's go ahead and put him in something before pre-K.
Mm. But that is actually you getting into that program is not based on intelligence, or is more determined by economics a stance. If you're poor of a poor person, you will be eligible to send your kid to that program, whether he's smart or not smart, because it's just the same qualification as getting into any school
So do you
early.
think it's good to get rid of it? Yes or no?
It don't matter. But if I was to
So
say
you're
anything about it,
saying it doesn't matter. It's not good nor bad. It's just whatever.
it puts more responsibility back on the parents. That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
so we're going to continue on that. Stop efforts to lower prescription drug prices.
Stop the efforts on prescription drug prices.
Lowering prescription drug prices.
Yeah, who
So
were kidding about that? Big Pharma been running this country, and they've been setting their own prices, and we have failed to regulate them at any point in time. At any point in time. That's why for a while we had a shortage of unnecessary medications that was needed for life-saving things like insulin or
I forgot the other drugs my mom was telling me because my mom is a nurse, so she works in the hospital. So it was the reason why there was a shortage is because big pharma controls the prices of it. They control the surplus and the prices of it, and that happened under Joe Biden's watch. So a lot of people died without having the proper medical
That's
medication that
crazy
they
how you
needed.
say that was on Joe Biden's watch, but when it come down to
Yeah, because if we're gonna blame
the
presidents, we're
banks,
gonna blame presidents.
you wasn't willing to say it happened on
Because
Bush's
when I make
watch.
my arguments, I base it off of your presentation. If you
Oh,
want to
okay,
say it's
okay.
something is based on a president who's in office and they should have known that this was going to happen and they should have regulated banks, okay, then we're going to say same thing when it comes to when something bad happens to
I'm
the
tracking. I'm
previous.
tracking. Hello.
Yeah, I'm sure. I thought you was going to the next point.
Okay, all right. So cut overtime protections for 4.3 million workers.
How are they cutting overtime protections?
All right, let's dive into it. Biden administration expands overtime pay to cover 4.3 million more workers. Here's who qualifies. So about 4.3 million US workers who previously didn't qualify for overtime pay could soon receive time and a half for working more than 40 hours a week, thanks to a new rule from the Biden administration. All right. So essentially this is making, so they had, try to implement that law. The new rule could result in an additional $1.5 billion in pay uh, for employees, according to an estimate from the Economic Policy Institute, a left-leaning think tank.
Oh, are they talking about overtime protection for the folks who are on salary? Because if you get overtime and on salary, it's very discretionary towards the job you're in and who's the owner of that business. Like some people on salary do still get overtime, but a lot of people on
Oh yeah, you don't
salary
get you
don't.
don't get no overtime salary most times.
Yeah. So I think that's what the protections are for because we already have the law that after 40 hours time and a half, there's no more that you can protect on there. I think it's most
Okay,
mainly talking about the
so
people with salary.
yeah, starting July 1st, salary workers who earn less than 844 per week or $43,888 per week year will be covered by the new rule. Mm.
And then they're saying that Trump is trying to overturn that or not trying to implement it because it hasn't gone into effect yet.
Well, this right here, this right here is just telling us about the protections. This is
Hmm.
telling us about the what they're trying to stop. That's it.
Yeah, yeah,
They're not trying to tell us like it's two different articles. You get what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, yeah, I surmised that what the protection was about without that article.
Well, I mean,
I
I need the
already,
article because it's like, let's face it, it could have been a bunch of other more stuff. All right, let's go. So let's get to the next. Let me, you know what, that's a good one. I'm gonna copy and paste that one. We can talk about that later. That's a good one. You know, because we can't ignore that overtime. Overtime, baby. I remember I work on my
hey,
birthday.
I want to say you happy about getting into that conversation because you was a salary on salary for a long time for a little minute
Yeah,
and you
I
would
love that
love get.
overtime though.
Hmm.
All right, let's get to the next. Push more people towards Medicare Advantage. In other words, private options. That's 33 million people. So this is talking about Medicaid, Medicaid, and Medicare. That's what they're basically referring to. Medicare enrollment numbers. 33,948,778 is enrolled in original Medicare. So we already know they're trying to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the next.
Well, okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna say I don't think they're trying to get rid of it. What has been put out is that they're trying to change who qualifies for it. So for them welfare queens and kings that just live off the government, you actually have to go to work. That's what I've heard circulating, that you have to pull in at least 40 hours, and if your income is still too low to afford the marketplace, which would be Obamacare or Trump Care, whatever they're calling it nowadays, then you can get probably Medicaid or Medicare, but it should
So
stop being
you think
abused.
it'll
The
be
system
better
should stop.
in the hands of private business as opposed to government business?
If we're talking about for our economy, yes, yes, I'll 100%.
You think
Because
it's better for them?
if it's in the uh government's hand, that means there's money that we're using our tax dollars are going to, and it's kind of wasteful, especially if a majority of people are abused that's on the system is abusing the system. I know some people who got on the system
All right.
because they
Hey,
desperately
look, we're
needed to
gonna put a
be.
pin in that. And I just copied and pasted that one because I need more information. And
Okay.
I don't think you have enough information on here, and I have enough information to
What are
talk
you talking
about it.
about? You talking about statistical facts about how many people on there were
Just
needing it or not
Medicaid,
needing it?
Medicare, and just the best avenues towards it. You know what I mean? I just feel like when it comes down to it, we could address it in a later time, and we can
Yeah.
go in better and more details and more depths, and
A
from
lot of
your
these, yeah, I feel like a lot of these notated ones, they're gonna be like their own separate debates or topics because they can be
yeah, that's
every
what I
time.
got in the chat. I get
Uh,
like the things we're gonna chat about later on. Because right now, if you want to go over and say, uh, so yeah, food stamps. That's another thing. The approved EDA annual report. That's another thing to look at. Compare the difference demographics for the Trump admin versus the Obama admin.
mhm.
Cut overtime protections for 4.3 million workers. And then we just added the push more people towards Medicare Advantage and other worse private options. That's 33 million people.
Oh,
So
also, I wanted to type in the notes that when we're comparing
what we gotta wait for him. Yeah, what were you saying?
yep, yep, that
Yeah, you
uh,
saying what do you want to add to the notes?
compare Joe Biden's cabinet or administration in there as well, because honestly the way it's gone in our president's elections, it would have been Barack, Trump, Biden, then back Trump. So when we want to compare different things, we have to compare Trump to his predecessors in both
Yeah,
instances.
we might as well go Bush too. All right, so compare Biden admin, Trump, Obama, and Bush. All right, let's get to the next. Restrict access to medication abortion. Ooh,
I mean, that's a touchy subject because I feel on my stance on banning abortions is really my stance on whether or not it's obligated that women say my body my choice, right? So
that's
I
a
always bring
fresh one, my boy.
I always bring up the fact that yeah, it's your choice to have a baby or not. So if you don't want to have the baby, cool, don't have the baby. But and if and the man wanted the baby, too bad, so sad, whatever. But if the roles were reversed and the man didn't want the baby and she wanted the baby, she would keep the baby just to spite the man and put him on child support. And so you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't not play both sides of the field. That no. So if you can't choose, then y'all both stuck in the commitment together. Y'all both stuck in the commitment together.
Yeah, I
Y'all would
know, I
lay,
know.
y'all chose to lay down together. Now y'all
Yeah,
both
yeah,
got to deal
yeah.
with the consequences of it,
So
whether
at this
either
point,
one
it's
wanted or
like
not.
it's forced now. At this point,
Yeah, whether you wanted to or not. There's no more picking and choosing. Oh, if you can get an abortion, whether that's to benefit or to spite a man or to benefit yourself, and without caring about the man's feelings in the say, it makes an even playing field. Y'all both came up laid down together. Y'all both get to have the
you know
consequences to
what
deal with
I
the
think
child.
about this. I think that they're purposely trying to wreck lives. And the reason why I say that is because let's say that a young lady's got, and remember, I am going to put this on YouTube, so I can't say the R word.
Mm-hmm.
Great. All right. Let's say a young lady is great for the most part. If she's great, and she's now pregnant, she's going to be having the assailant's baby. And let's say she was a virgin at this time. So there's no way that she could have had sex with someone else, and she's not going to be forced to have this man's baby.
I mean, this doesn't mean she has to keep the baby. There's plenty of situations where after the baby is born, the baby can be presented to different families for adoptions.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
they even talked about like a system of returning babies, like how how in the old story they say they used to drop them off at the fire department with a little note on them and stuff like that. Well, actually, it's going to be an actual system where people actually do that. But it's I think they tried that project out. I forgot where they did it, but someone already dropped off a baby. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, it sucks having to carry around a man sees that raped you or just harmed you in general. Maybe it wasn't. It was by a man that you chose to be in a relationship with, but for some reason
So
y'all not compatible and the baby's killing you from the inside. Yes, that might suck to carry around a baby that's doing harm to you. But again, this is going back to dealing with consequences and taking more responsibility. And more people before they had unprotected sex and make a baby, if y'all went to a gynecologist or a doctor who specializes in giving birth and stuff, that they can run tests on each partner because it would be more planned pregnancies. So if you're going to plan a pregnancy, you would know, hey, he carries the gene for this, and that might cause your baby to kill you from the inside.
all right. So I put down a note. People being forced to have babies by their man who forced themselves on you. And then I put another note, abortion debate. All right. Let's go to the next one. Deny students in 25 states in Washington, D.C. access to student loans because their school provides in-state tuition to undocumented immigrants.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I ain't even gonna lie, I'm cool with that. I'm not gonna use taxes and pay dollars to fund people who ain't even American citizens. I'm not even gonna lie to you on that one. Nope. Why does the you know how much money I owe in taxes this year? It's in the five figures for the
Yeah,
amount of
yeah,
money
you're
I
making
owe in
money.
taxes.
That's what happens.
And so all that money going to supplement some Americans that ain't put into the tax, and it said undocumented. So
We
we're
can
not
talk
talking about the one.
about them financial stuff like that later on. But
But
I do
yeah,
feel you. So
mm-mm.
Texas, it says Texas, all students in higher education, 1,661,000. Undocumented students in higher education, 56,535. International students in higher education, 89,546. So I just looked at that one because that's the one that affects you the most. Let's go ahead and go back to that note. And the thing was, in 25 states in Washington, D.C., the students are being denied access to student loans because their school provides an in-state tuition to undocumented immigrants. So you're saying that you're cool with them rejecting, like, if the state allows any undocumented immigrant to get in-state tuition, you're
They
saying.
should they should not ask for funding from the federal government because states
I'm not
have the right.
exactly sure how many people are affected by this. That's the thing that gets me, where I'm like, I don't know whether or how to address that conversation. You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
it's like if you let a crack in, like if you crack a door and it's only a little bit of wind coming in, then it's not really affecting the whole house. But then when the wind gets strong enough to swing the whole door open, now you're losing the temperature in your house. You be like, where are my AC going? It's the same situation here. You're wondering where all the money is going
So
because
I guess what I'm
they
saying is the
they
fact that
allowed a
if they,
few to do it.
look,
Now a lot is doing it.
T, what I'm saying is the fact that I'm on the fence with it because I don't know the number of denied students. Because if you're just saying deny those undocumented students, then at that point I'm like, But if you're saying deny like the other students, or like students like this school cannot give student loans out or cannot give grants out because of one undocumented person. It's like
I mean,
that's
either
the difference, because if you do it that way, it's more tyranny in my opinion. Because if it's like if you allow one undocumented person to have this tuition, that this in-state in-state student loan, if you were to give them that type of benefit for the tuition, then you're gonna deny everyone else that's
yeah, but
in
there
this in
that
the school. I feel like
yeah.
that's wrong, because it's like you're forcing you're overreaching, you're overstepping. You know what I'm saying? It's like I get that you're mad, but it's like you're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, let me put it like this, right? Say you have I'm a teenager, right? And that teenager is a good age. They're about 16, 17 years old. They're almost an adult. Very highly independent, can do their own thing, right? And they have a cell phone. Now, if you saying, hey, I don't want you on this app on your phone. If not, I'm gonna take the whole phone away. Would that be overreaching? Would that be tyranny?
well, the thing is, the president. You're basically saying the president is our father and he can do what he wants without.
The federal government is over state government. And so if you
Okay.
want help from the federal government, it's just like if you wanted help from your parents, you gotta and you lived in their house, you gotta abide by their rules, right?
Those are the money that we all provided to them. So the money that the government is providing is the money that five figure account, that number you have to give to the IRS.
Hmm.
That's the money that they're denying. So that's the reason why I'm so upset about it, because we paid for we paid for that ability. And I'm not like you. I don't mind if that woman down the street with those 6 kids is getting by. You know what I mean? And it's not for her, it's for the 6 kids. Them 6 kids didn't ask to be here. Granted, after a while, you feel like there has to be a way to eliminate that. But a lot of women don't really want to do much with their lives as far as
Yeah, some welfare queens definitely just have kids so they can stay on government system and abuse the system. And there's
yeah,
no
and then for
no
child support, and
yeah, and there's no smart way to force a woman to take responsibility it stands right now. And I'm really big on responsibility because I speak from a point of a father. So if I had 2 kids, right? And why if I gotta wake up every morning to go to work to make sure my kids have everything they need, then why don't you have to? You make these kids, you take responsibility for these kids, whether you're getting help from the other parent or not. Because as you know, my wife is a stay-at-home wife right now. Like whether she's gonna go back to school or she's gonna go get a job later down the road, it's not here nor there. I do not have financial help coming from one side of the playing field. Does that stop my ability to take care of my kids? No. I still make a way, and if what I'm doing ain't cutting it, I find something else to do. Because again, it's taking responsibility for what you have created. Now, when you start asking other people to help you, nobody's obligated to help you with 6 kids that they didn't tell you to make.
so I mean, I get what you're saying, but I guess what I'm saying is I'm just saying, like, that's the reason I premise it. I'm not like you. I don't care. You care. I don't care. And I don't care because I know there's some white guy that's benefited so much off of the fact that as soon as they walk into a place, they have automatic, like they don't think he's a thief. But
So
then,
you're talking about race, and we're talking about class. We're talking about economics, and you bring it back to race. Now, yes,
well,
some
I'm
race
talking
do.
about the preferential treatment. I'm talking about the fact that when someone steps into a building and they happen to, like, I've been in buildings where as soon as you step in, because you're black, they always question your credentials. They always, and you be like, well, I've been doing this whole where, I've seen other people go through that where it's like,
Yeah.
and then you can deal with this one, the other side, and it's not. I guess what I'm saying is,
It happened. It happened to me in the military. Some white kid couldn't believe that I was an FC when and what my score on the ASVAB was. Swore up and down I was lying until I brought out my orders and be like, "What does that say on them papers right there, bro?
yeah,
What does this say on them papers?"
yeah. The point I'm trying to make is like, I'm not trying to hold people, you know, that I don't know to a higher standard, because I hold myself to a very high standard, but I don't hold others to my same standard I hold myself. So
But
with
then
that
we
being
all, as
said,
a, if all of us as a society did that for each other, if we policed each other and made a lot of things not socially acceptable, then we would have a more established country, I believe. If we didn't say it's okay for girls to be on the internet shaking ass so much, and having
dude,
comment section, we would get further. Women might
yeah, yeah,
stop wanting. Women will probably stop
they'll
trying to
do
use the
anything for
government.
that attention. That's a
Yeah.
drug.
Yeah, and since we say, yeah, they know it's not favorable, like some people wholeheartedly disagree with it, but when you got 100 people in your comment section cheering you on because this technically socially acceptable for you to do it, then you're gonna keep on doing it. And it's the same thing with these welfare queens and our and how they use the system. If everybody they know in their community is also having 6 kids, 5 kids, three, what is 2 kids? I don't care if it's 1 kid. If they all are doing the same thing and they saying, yeah, this is how you use the system better. I've been in them rooms. I know what they talk about. They are literally telling you how you can get more benefits and leverage you having kids or you putting a man on child support or whatever the case might be. You got too many people that's making this socially acceptable. So yeah, you might not hold other people to higher standards, but if we did that as a people who as the people who hold ourselves to higher standards, if we did that to everybody else, then it would probably be less of it because it would be unfavorable to do it. You'd be like, oh no, I'll get judged. Like the same reason why you don't let your wife go out looking any kind of way because you know, hey, that's not socially acceptable and that's not acceptable to me. To let my wife leave the house looking that type of way or dressed like that, or whatever the case might be. So and she understands that hey, this is unfavorable to my husband. It's not socially acceptable in my marriage, so I'm not gonna do this, and or I'm gonna do less of it at the bare minimum. It's the same concept, same concept.
So
But
let's go ahead and look at this real quick. This is going back to the undocumented thing. Portal to the states. The portal highlights how 24 states in DC provide in-state tuition to the state's undocumented students. Of those states, 19 in DC also provide access to state financial aid. Florida recently passed legislation eliminating access to in-state tuition for undocumented students, bringing the total number of states offering access to in-state tuition down to 24. 4 states provide in-state tuition to undocumented state students at some but not all universities. 4 other states restrict in-state tuition eligibility to DACA recipients only. 9 states and Puerto Rico do not have known policies, and another 9 states actively block to in-state tuition for undocumented students, including 3 states that prohibit undocumented students from enrolling in all or some public colleges. So if we look at DC, DC is green. So
yeah,
that means
but
that,
see that
yeah,
answers your question right there though. You was like, if it's only one person, but it's that's going there hypothetically, so to speak, and they're blocking a tuition for the whole college that or everybody who goes there, and that kind of seems unfair, or tyranny. But that's exactly what they're doing because they're like, hey, these 24 schools public schools or public colleges are allowing undocumented kids to go to college, and I'm counting. I'm trying to like do a mental calculation, but that seems like enough colleges to have enough undocumented citizens going to college. So that means that's
if you
enough.
notice, it's like if you look at it, it's Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, California, Oregon, Washington State, Minnesota, Illinois, Virginia, Maryland, uh fronts. I already said that one. I already said that one.
So the
In New
green is
York.
saying, so you saying the green is the folks who are allowing
Oh yeah, in
people to
Hawaii.
get.
Yeah, if you're undocumented, if it's in green, they are allowing those people to.
That's enough. That's enough states. That's enough states to believe that there's a significant population of these people attending colleges
Yeah, yeah.
for free.
So okay, so let's get back to it. So
Especially
you're
especially
saying
Texas,
if
New
one school
Mexico,
do it, you feel
and
like all the schools should not give student loans to anybody.
no, no, no. I feel yeah, student loans to those specific colleges. I'm not saying ban the whole state.
So
No, of course not.
okay,
Just
so you're
ban that
saying
college.
if like okay, so you're saying not the skit state. You're saying if the school allows one undocumented person to get a student loan, they should then forfeit the ability to give any student loans out.
Yeah,
Okay.
but but we're not gonna say one because as you can see, Texas, New Mexico, and
So
California all allow people to do it, and those are
hey,
main
we're gonna
states with
reconnect.
undocuments.
Hey, we're gonna reconnect. I'm gonna start.
Which